I always loved working with Anamorphic because you have this beautiful fall-off.
There's nothing natural about an anamorphic lens. It's squashed, it's compressed. It mushes up the image a bit more, it makes it more filmic, if you will.
I just love the way the depth of field has texture, the bokeh. The way that the focus breathes when you rack focus to accentuate the anamorphic distortion that you get with the background.
Today we're going to go over the differences between spherical and anamorphic lenses. Besides the obvious differences in shapes, there is something else at work here. So, what makes these lens types so different? And what qualities do they bring to the image? This is What is Anamorphic versus Spherical. To stay in the loop for more filmmaking techniques, subscribe and click the bell. Let's jump in. Since their invention, most camera lenses have been spherical, named for the shape of the glass elements inside. And the aspect ratio of 35mm film stock was standardized at 4:3, which means films captured and projected a nearly square image. In the early 1950s, American cinema attendance was in decline. To win back audiences, the studios had to reinvent cinema, transform it from the mundane into something spectacular. A massive and wide image. But there's a problem. How can we capture a rectangular image onto square film? This is when 20th Century Fox buys Henri Chrétien's anamorphic widescreen process.
Famed Sorbonne optical scientist Henri Chrétien demonstrates the anamorphoscopic lens for the CinemaScope system.
Anamorphic lenses can squeeze a wide image into a square. Then the image is unsqueezed with another anamorphic lens on the projector. And thus, widescreen filmmaking is born, and movies are never the same.
Thanks for the history lesson. No problem, man.
Now, the amount of horizontal compression, called the squeeze factor, typically ranges from 1.3, 1.33, 1.5, 1.8, up to 2 times. These days, the image is unsqueezed in post-production. But a wider image is just the beginning of what makes these two lens types unique. In their construction, anamorphic and spherical lenses are very similar. Anamorphic lenses are really just spherical lenses with additional elements, collectively called an anamorphic block. As mentioned, normal lenses feature elements with a spherically curved surface. Anamorphic elements have a cylindrical curve. This block, either placed at the front, middle, or rear of the lens, is what allows the anamorphic lens to capture a wider field of view. Depending on the manufacturer and the squeeze factor, the artifacts and distortions we attribute to the anamorphic lens will be more or less pronounced. Now, there are 6 main differences between the visual characteristics of anamorphic and spherical lenses. It should be noted here that the visual characteristics can vary between lens manufacturers. First up, bokeh. Bokeh refers to the quality of the out-of-focus elements in an image. It is usually identified by unfocused points of light. In a spherical lens, the bokeh is mostly circular. While anamorphics produce oval shapes, which are more or less pronounced depending on the squeeze factor of the lens. Next, distortion is a byproduct of both spherical and anamorphic lenses. One element that plagued early anamorphic lenses was something called scope mumps, which stretched and distorted faces, especially in close-ups. Another visual characteristic associated with early anamorphic lenses is called barrel distortion. You can see this in the curving of straight lines, especially toward the edges of the frame. This is an effect which has been corrected in modern anamorphic lenses. So, filmmakers looking for a more vintage anamorphic look either have to find vintage lenses or modify new lenses to get it. Another pair of visual characteristics of anamorphic lenses are related to focus. Focus fall-off and roll-off. Focus fall-off, when the image loses focus, the further away from the center you go. Now, to be clear, in certain cases, spherical lenses can also exhibit focus fall-off as well. But let's look at this anamorphic shot from moonlight, where you can see the curtains lose focus near the top of the frame.
My fault. Damn, bro, like you said, you didn't drink. You can't really taste it, so I don't mess with it.
Similarly, focus roll-off describes the relationship between foreground and background elements. Modern lenses and sensors can almost be too sharp, making it look like the subject is cut out and pasted onto the background. With anamorphic lenses, that edge or outline can be softer, helping to blend foreground and background for a more organic look. Anamorphic lenses also exhibit unique focus breathing. The vertical axis appears to grow or shrink when executing a rack focus.
Dr. Schultz.
Actually, Mr. Candace, it's something I ain't told you about yet.
What?
Hildy in the hot box.
What's she doing there?
What you think she doing there in the hot box?
This effect is more or less pronounced, depending on the lens, but it can be another sought-after visual characteristic. Lens flares are another selling point for getting a more cinematic look shooting with anamorphics. These appear as horizontal streaks when a light source hits the lens directly. The color and shape of the flares can vary depending on the lens coating and the lens design. Depth of field is another visual characteristic that sets these two lenses apart. For example, a 50mm anamorphic lens will give you a much wider field of view than a 50mm spherical lens. In your own projects, you might want the anamorphic look, but there are some practical considerations to keep in mind. Because they require a more complex design,
must be expensive.
Anamorphic lenses can generally be more expensive than their spherical equivalents. Oval iris inserts or streak filters can give you a similar look for a fraction of the price.
Oh, thank God! Oh, thank God!
Anamorphic lenses also have more trouble focusing at close distances than their spherical counterparts. To counteract this, diopters can be used. With the right planning and budget, there are ways to get the anamorphic look with these alternatives. Now, each of these can be more or less prominent depending on the lens and manufacturer. Generally speaking, spherical lenses are sharper and cleaner images that can be more grounded and real. For example, DP Rachel Morrison shot Black Panther with spherical lenses because they wanted to draw attention to the detail of Wakanda's world building. Whereas the anamorphic artifacts can be a bit more cinematic. For Annihilation, cinematographer Rob Hardy wanted the aberrations of anamorphic lenses to capture the unreality of the shimmer. Most films stick to one lens type for the entire film to keep it visually cohesive. However, There are many reasons why you would want to mix anamorphic and spherical in the same movie.
You are lower than pond scum. You got a problem with that, Jordan?
No, no problem at all.
Rodrigo Prieto shot The Wolf of Wall Street with anamorphic lenses for the beginning of Jordan's career, when he hasn't found himself yet.
We could pawn my engagement ring if we needed to. Is that on mine?
And later, when he finds himself under investigation during his paranoia phase.
So you could go to his house, right? Tap his phones a little bit, bug him. You could get some information.
You don't f with these guys like that. You don't f with them like that. What are you, nuts or something?
But in the middle, once Jordan has found clarity and direction,
Stratton Oakmont was crawling out of the primordial ooze. Pond scum no more.
they relied on the sharp focus of spherical lenses. For Scott Pilgrim versus the World, Edgar Wright shot with spherical lenses for the majority of the film, but used anamorphics for the fight scenes
if you want to fight me
to enhance their fantastical qualities.
Take the circle.
Now, let's run through a number of examples. See if you can spot which films were shot with spherical or anamorphic lenses. Here's a reminder of what to look for.
We have to get out of here. It's not safe here anymore, and you can't have an attack out there. You understand?
Yes, but this is the mutant that I told you about. She needs our help.
She's not a mutant.
Yes, she is.
What's her gift, Charles? Eating? Pipe throwing?
Logan. It's okay. Está bien. Una chuchu de locomotora. Okay, una tren.
Before I go.
Only 3 people in the world have one of these, and only one of them is Irish. I have one, Angelo has one, now you have one.
This is beautiful.
Welcome to the Bruin, Miss Tate. Thank you for coming to our theater.
Thank you.
Hey, can I get a picture?
Oh, sure.
You know, why don't you stand over by the poster so people will know who you are?
Could you?
Hey, you okay?
Nick, where are you going to school next year?
I thought we weren't supposed to talk.
Just tell me.
Georgetown. Jesus.
Hope.
No,
where are you going to school next year?
I couldn't be less interested in, like, whatever this is.
Gigi, where the f are you going to school next year?
Don't judge me, it was my 5th choice. Harvard.
Don't touch them.
What the hell happened here?
It hasn't happened yet.
How many did you get right?
Honestly, I don't know.
When it comes to anamorphic and spherical, choosing the right lens type should be based on the overall story you want to tell. For more on lens types, check out episode 7 of the Shot List, where we break down various lenses. In the description, you'll find links to our free ebook on camera lenses, where we dive into the unique properties of all types of lenses, and to even more resources on the Studio Binder blog for everything from lighting techniques to camera movement. As we sign off, there's one more request we'd like to squeeze in. Hit subscribe and enable notifications. See you in the next one.